Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from SHOT Show 2023 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mikey P is somewhere around here doing his thing, trying to do some of the Arms Room Radio stuff. It has been crazy. We have been doing back-to-back interviews, talking with different folks about different things for different programs. So we apologize for not having the show yesterday, but we literally were both double booked with interviews that we're doing. Mike is obviously here doing a number of different reviews for Arms Room Radio. So if you want to listen to any of the stuff that he's got going on, all you got to do is check him out over there at Arms Room Radio, and you'll be able to listen to all of the cool shows, all the cool content and people he's had a chance to talk to. Listen to him, listen to that show over the weekend. But he'll be running a lot of these interviews over the next few weeks. Now, the work that I've been doing has actually been with the Firearms Policy Coalition and Coffee with Craig. Now, those interviews have actually been running live at their YouTube channel, the YouTube channel over there at the Firearms Policy Coalition. Some of them, you can find them on the Facebook page you can find all of them on the Facebook page for 2A News. Unfortunately, the YouTube channel over there, 2A News, is, having a bit of a hiccup right now. You know, how shall we say, the Google / YouTube Nazis are, they are restricting our speech as we speak. But having said that, that doesn't keep us from talking or keep us from being involved in the conversation. So anyway, we're here. Before we get started, let's go ahead and I will give a quick shout out to our sponsors. And we'll start with Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. If you have purchased an AR in the last couple of years, chances are you already have one of their barrels. But if you haven't, maybe you haven't purchased an AR yet, you want to do your own build. Or maybe you have an older AR and you want to upgrade the barrel. Guess what? Go to hitmanindustries.net. They'll have exactly what you're looking for. Also, we have the California Republican Assembly. That's right, the California Republican Assembly. Ronald Reagan referred to the California Republican Assembly as the conscience of the Republican Party. I prefer to think of them as the Republican wing of the Republican Party in the state of California, working to help like-minded conservatives to office there and advance conservative policies. So check them out at cragop.org. Also want to remind you about Hog Holsters. That's Hog Holsters. Go get yourself a concealed carry holster today. Go to their website at hogholsters.com. All you got to do is make sure you use the discount code The Rundown. Right? All caps, no spaces. And finally, if you're looking for cool tactical gear, the sort of stuff that you would see here at, SHOT Show, the place you got to go is uscombatgear.com. These are the folks, man. Trust me, go there, check them out. You will like what you see there and spend some money with them. Also want to remind you that if you get a chance, please make sure, like, share, subscribe, and encourage your friends to do the same. You know what's happening, folks. The algorithms are trying to shut us down, so the way in which you help us is by showing up and showing out. Joining us, by the way, as a special guest on the program today, unfortunately, though, I have not changed his lower third, so we'll just go ahead and we'll remove his name here because, we can't have him as the wrong person. But we have with us the co-host, Mr. Mike Pilwarski.
Yay! Like the Muppets do, right?
That's like the Muppets do. Yeah. Dude, man, it's a busy, busy time, ain't it?
It is. A lot going on in the world. Or do you mean more specifically here at SHOT Show?
A lot going on in the world, but definitely a lot going on here at SHOT Show.
Yeah. It's a lot of big stuff, a lot of good stuff. The industry's back at full strength, moving along, high speed. Last year they were coming still coming out of the COVID crisis because remember you had a lot of manufacturers, Craig, from a lot of states that were still under lockdown. A couple still, including like California, that are still under some measures of lockdown as well. But our Canadian friends, it was difficult for them to get here, but we've seen all our European partners here now as well. So it's definitely looked like we're back at full speed.
Yeah, and having a great time. What winds up happening all the time, as usual, and we talked about this a little bit on Monday, You know, you go and you talk to people at the booths all day, and there's so many more people here. It's really hard to have those detailed conversations. But that's when you go out. You go to the dinners and the receptions, and then there's Circle Bar.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But we have a good time. But that's really where a lot of the deals are made, and it's also kind of nice because you also get a chance to see some real celebrities in the gun community there.
Greg's talking about himself.
I'm not talking about myself. I am not a celebrity in the gun community. Not even close. But just some really, really neat guys. And what's funny about it is
good people. Yeah.
what's funny about it is these are people who, you know, the average people have no idea who they are, but some of them are the best in the world, or in the top tier of the world of what they do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Very much so. Very
Yeah.
much so.
And you get a chance to check out and hang out with them. So anyway, that's all good. I was literally just about to get to our stories today, and most of them, I am sure, if you follow your Twitter feed, I'm sure that most of these are stories that you're probably going to be very, very well aware of what's going down. All right. The first one here has to do with, Joe Biden is still acting as if his possession of classified documents is in no way similar to what Donald Trump did. And I will agree with him in one way in which it is not similar. Donald Trump, as president, had the ability to declassify classified documents. As vice president, Joe Biden had no such ability. There was no way that he was supposed to be able to, that he could legally remove the classification of the classified status of these documents. So therefore, he could seriously be looking at some I don't want to say criminal time, but yeah, he could seriously be looking at some issues.
Yeah, but I think his issues would be like maybe they won't give him such positive press today in the news. You know, they're going to do nothing to this guy. They're going to do nothing at all. They'll find someone to blame this on. You know, somebody put those documents there. You know, somebody thought they'll find plausible deniability to make sure he's got no culpability in this matter whatsoever.
Yeah. Sadly enough, Mike, that is exactly what's going to wind up happening. Yeah. He's going to wind up, once again, getting away with He's going to wind up getting away with it. I mean, now, the interesting thing, though, is that the DOJ does have a special counsel, so I doubt the special counsel is going to do anything. I think they're going to say, oh, well, these are just innocuous documents. But everybody outside of the White House who has looked at this has said, yeah, he could be in big trouble.
Yeah, it could be, especially based on the volume of them, too. We're not talking about like the couple of alleged documents that President Trump had, who had the ability, like you said, to declassify them, as opposed to these voluminous amount of paperwork found throughout the vice president's possession. Remember, he took possession of them as the vice president.
Right. Well,
maybe he's going to say now that he's been president, he already declassified them. Maybe he's going to say he held them for 4 years through the Trump administration, and then when he became president, he declassified them and pardoned himself. So all the crimes that he did commit during that 4 years don't matter.
Well, you never know. That may be exactly what he winds up doing.
Could be. Could very well be.
All right. The next story that we have here has to do with your good friend, Captain Florida. You remember that prosecutor that he got rid of?
Yes.
Well, the courts have now ruled. Now, the interesting thing is the New York Times said in their piece that, well, they said that the judge was wrong, or that DeSantis was wrong for firing him, but they upheld the firing.
Right. It's so whether or not you like the way the outcome occurred, you can get many times a judge will say, we'll use the wrong reasoning but still get the right decision, and that's what it looks like you have here. Is that the judge did not agree with the removal, evidently, but is letting the removal stand.
Well, I'm curious what that's going to mean for these individuals who, once again, violate their oath of office and start to do, in particular, with this particular one, they were trying to institute laws and they were picking and choosing which laws it was that they were actually going to enforce.
Yes.
And I don't know why, but it seems to me quite obvious that you don't get to do that.
You do not.
No.
You should not be able to, anyway.
Well, so in California, we had a similar, not so much a similar incident, but in California, we passed not one but two different propositions that defined marriage as being between a man and a woman. And yet, at the same time, we had as it was going through the court process, we had a governor and an attorney general who refused to defend those laws in court. In fact, the original decision legalizing or making it a right in the United States, or upholding the same-sex marriage, was made because no one with standing would
Right.
fight in court, would
Right.
would support it. Now, their job is to uphold the laws in the Constitution. If you go and you read the California Constitution, the definition of marriage is still there as being between a man and a woman, but it's now unconstitutional. It's now ruled unconstitutional by the feds. Funny how that works.
Ha ha, ho ho, he he.
All right. I almost forgot. So this week today is March for Your Life in Washington, D.C. Now, March for Your Life is probably one of the most underreported stories in the world. If there were 50 people who were protesting about being fired from Twitter, you would have every major news station in the entire country covering it. You get hundreds of thousands of people marching in the streets of Washington, D.C. in order to stand up to protect innocent life, and you wouldn't even know that the event was happening.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
this is the first post-Roe. I say post-Roe because Roe is no longer the law of the land.
Right.
First post-Roe March for Life, and it's actually taken on a whole new meaning. It's really now more of a celebration, while at the same time the organizers are trying to remind folks that the fight's not over. This doesn't make abortion illegal. It just simply says that it's not a constitutional right, and the states now can legally decide whether or not it's something they want to be legal in their state.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's where we know that we've discussed and we talked about it. Again, this is not the outlawing of. This is the opportunity for each state to make their own decisions, and that was the decision, was that this was a states' rights issue, and it shouldn't have been a federal justice issue. And this is what the march supports.
Well, and you know what's funny is, I see this. I was talking with Cody Wisniewski from FPC earlier, and we were just talking about rights, and we're talking about the Constitution, and the reality is that whatever is in the Constitution, whatever the Constitution does not specifically give the federal government the ability to regulate, then they don't get to regulate it. They just don't.
Yeah.
And that's why when people try to make comparisons between abortion and the right to keep and bear arms, there's no comparison, because guess what? The Constitution specifically speaks to the right to keep and bear arms,
Yes.
right? It specifically speaks to it. There is nothing in the Constitution that says you have the right to, take the life of your child in the world.
They would argue that the pursuit of happiness, right,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of in an outline form, right? It's not says thou shalt must pursue happiness.
No.
It says life, liberty, and the pursuit of. In the theoretical, in the lead up stage, in your,
Right.
to your document, but that doesn't mean I get to. Well, listen, it's happiness, Craig. So the abortion got the nod from the Supreme Court because of the life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Although I think the life part was kind of weird that it was in there, but they said that's the individual rights to do what they want to do. Except no. Right? You know what I like to do? I like to punch puppies. I'm a puppy puncher. We can't do that, sir. Well, there's no crime against puppy punching. I like the way they look at me, and they smell funny, so I punch them. You can't do that, and that's what they went back and said. Just because it's not expressly authorized doesn't mean it's also not expressly forbidden. So, and there has to be a common man clause. There has to be an acceptable level, and they realized that they approved that,
Right.
based on political pressure of the time.
Well, exactly. And so one of the things that we're going to need to start to see is we're going to start to see a lot more emphasis, and we've already kind of seen it. There's a lot more emphasis in order to expand abortion rights or laws in the states. And so you're going to start to see some states that are going to become more restrictive and some states that are going to become less restrictive. So the battle's not over. The fight's not over. But at least we're now allowed to have the conversation. That's what I like to say is I'm like, look, we can now look at the science. We can now determine. We can now start to take an actual intellectual approach as to when life begins. We can discuss it morally. We can discuss it religiously. We can discuss it scientifically. Before it was like, there's no conversation. It's a constitutional right. Well, no, that's not the way this works.
Yeah. Oh, and please, no punching any puppies.
No puppy punching. Say that fast 5 times.
You're pumping puppies? That's something completely different.
Anyway. And last on, well, SHOT. This is the last day of SHOT Show.
It is.
The last day. What's been neat is there are a lot more people talking about, the big story was really the whole ATF brace, the briefing on the ATF. Can you give folks kind of a brief kind of outline as to what made that so controversial?
They came back and redefined a lot of stuff from what their proposed rule was a year and a half, 2 years ago, and now it's just as clear as it was then, which is mud. Many organizations already had lawsuits in place. Firearms Policy Council, Second Amendment Foundation, and the judge back then said, "Listen, we can't. I'm not going to toss it. There's no reason for it to go forward now because it's not into effect. But so we're going to put it to the side." So that's immediately been addressed. This is something that ATF cannot do. ATF cannot legislate. They cannot create their own laws and reinterpret their no laws as legislative and judicial branches do. All they can do is enforce them. So this is looking very, very good for being tossed out and getting a complete TRO on it.
Yes, big things are happening in regards to that, and it was I was approached by my good friend Richard over at FPC, and he was like, they wanted to go photobomb the ATF with the FU no flag.
Yep. Oh, I already did it.
I told him I said I would at least walk by with the flag.
Yeah.
I said, for those who are not, tickets to SHOT Show are relatively expensive and they're hard to get if once you lose them. So I don't know that I would have taken a chance on that one.
It's been fine. You could just give him your ticket.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm good. All right, let's go ahead and let's move along to our parting shot. Brought to you by Hog Holsters. That's helping America. Guns. You can find them at hogholsters.com. Remember to use the discount code, the rundown. No spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. All right, this first one is in line with our discussion about documents being, found in people's homes and how we treat people differently. Now, in this one, you've got pictures of the last 5 presidents, or the current president and 4 presidents before that. The top one, you have George Bush Sr. It says kept his documents in combination of bowling alley and a Chinese restaurant. There was no raids. And by the way, confidential documents. And then you have Bill Clinton. It says kept his documents in the trunk of an abandoned car dealership. No raid. You have Barack Obama kept his documents in an old furniture store. Once again, no raid. Then we've got President Donald Trump kept his documents in his private home under Secret Service supervision. He was raided. And then finally, you have Joe Biden kept his documents. He had no power to declassify, mind you, in a building funded by China. Once again,
ridiculous.
No raid. Folks, and I think a couple of different points. Number one, when they say building a residence funded by China, that's also kind of a Hunter Biden laptop dig, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Anyway, but yeah, no raid. Now, the worst part about it is that first time they said, you know what? Well, let's go back. They found the documents before the election. They didn't say anything.
That's right.
Then after the election, they say something to DOJ or to the archivists. Then they go a couple of months, And then they finally, at the beginning of then they go a month, and then the DOJ puts out a special counsel. And not until the next year, till this year, do we actually now have public information out about these documents. And then once the public information is out, now mind you, it's been months since they found the original documents, they found more documents. And then they say, oh, no, okay, that's it. We've now released all of the documents. And a day later, they found more documents. I think if
What
anybody
amazing.
needs a